In this video, part 3 of our Star Wars Shatterpoint Primaries breakdown, we're going to be doing a deep dive and taking a look at the Rebels. Hey guys, Rich from Rich Mid Gaming. Hope everyone is doing fantastically well. Welcome to this part 3 of our Star Wars Shatterpoint breakdown for each and every primary in the game. We've already gone through all of the Galactic Republic with the exception of one, but you all know who he is and you all know that he deserves to be in the Galactic Empire list. We also have broken down all of the Separatists and friends. We sort of bundled in a couple of other characters in there as well, and it is now the time for the Rebels. So we're going to take a look. We're going to take a look at each primary in turn, but we're not just going to be looking at the primaries in isolation. So what are the things that I'm focusing on, and what are going to sort of influence where they go on this list? First of all, what the character does during their own activation, okay? Really, really important, especially for a primary. How impactful on the game can they be? Do they have access to early shoves? Can they make multiple attacks? Can they displace easy with a force push or something like that? What can they do outside of their activation? So again, this could be reactive abilities that they get to use. It could be identities that they get to pass down and do things to other characters, or something they can do themselves. Units that they have access to and synergize with. There's no point in me telling you that Count Dooku is the most amazing character in this game, so therefore he's S tier. He's not, by the way, but you get the example when the rest of what he has access to just isn't really that good at the moment. It drags him down as a primary. The downfalls and reliability on others. So where are the weak points? What are the things? And I'll try and highlight the things that I think maybe stops a character from being in A tier rather and gets pulled down into B tier. And how reliable on others are they? Are they self-sufficient? Or do you need to put a secondary in place, a particular secondary, to really, really make them work? And then lastly, but you know, as you've seen from the other videos, not something that's going to have too much of an impact is the win and loss rates, because we're still very, very early in the journey at the moment. So let's take a quick look and let's go through what we've already done so far. So as you can see, we've got our Galactic Republic with Seps and friends, as we're calling them. So S tier are going to be those characters that I believe are the quote-unquote meta-defining characters. They're going to be first picks in a lot of situations, and then you're going to build out around them, but they also have to be an absolutely amazing character. So, you know, being the best leader or the best primary in your given affiliation isn't enough. You know, arguably, Mother Talzin is the best primary for Dathomir. But again, Dathomir are not a fully fleshed out affiliation or faction, so therefore she's lower down the pecking order. And in there we've got Mando at the moment, and we have got the newly revised Anakin Skywalker. A tier is going to be exceptionally good characters. You know, they're just missing out on that top spot because they're not the number one pick, right? There are other picks that I think go ahead of them. In there, we've got Ki-Adi-Mundi, we've got Mace Windu, we've got Ahsoka Tano, Jedi No More, and we also have the Armorer. B tier. These are going to be really good, perfectly serviceable leaders, or primaries, sorry. But there might just be a little bit of something missing from them. Maybe the rest of their faction isn't very good at the moment. Maybe there are options that are, you know, ahead of them when it comes to, let's say, Galactic Republic. In there, we've got Cad Bane, we've got Lord Maul, we have got Lando Calrissian, we've got Kit Fisto, Asajj Ventress, Clone Sergeant Hunter, Count Dooku, Mother Talzin, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. C tier, we're getting into the realms of characters that not only are lacking when it comes to the rest of their affiliation and factions and what they can bring along with them, but they're also really starting to lack as a character. So, you know, some little tweaks to their card are really, really needed potentially. In now we've got Hondo, we've got General Grievous, we've got Plo Koon, and we've got Luminara. And then lastly, D tier is reserved for those characters who are really just no good at the moment, in my opinion. Remember, guys, this is always in my opinion. But yeah, they are lacking in a number of different things. And yeah, really, really don't do that good a job. And at the moment in there, we've only got Padme. So let's kick things off. Let's take a look at a brand new character, Ahsoka Tano Fulcrum. 8 squad points and 4 force. That 4 force is not to be sniffed at. She is also fearless. She can use the jump twice. Riposte is riposte. Then I will avenge his death. After this unit makes a combat action, it may use this ability. One character in this unit may make an attack targeting one of the same enemy characters within range and line of sight. So essentially you get to double tap. This is almost identical to what Anakin used to have. Anakin now has the much better version of it. But it's, you know, it's still fine. 9 stamina, 3 durability. So pretty standard for an 8. For an 8 cost there, or 8 squad point primary. And then her identity is going to be I am no Jedi. Once per turn, when a character in this unit wounds an enemy unit after the effect is resolved, refresh 1 force and 1 character in this unit may jump. Then if the unit was a primary or secondary, you may refresh 1 additional force, or 1 character in this unit may make a 5 dice attack. So she can effectively make 3 attacks in a single turn. Now, if we compare this version of Ahsoka Tano to the Galactic Republic version of Ahsoka Tano, the one that we put up in A tier, they're doing a similar thing in terms of that, yes, this Fulcrum version has the Rebel Alliance tag, but she's not doing anything for the Rebel Alliance, okay? So again, quite a selfish character. And what I mean by selfish is not really doing anything for anybody else, right? Her I am no Jedi just triggers from her. So in that sense, you know, she can be a nice, easy slot in, but I actually think she's really competing with Jedi No More. Now, obviously, there are the eras, which, you know, are going to play a big part into this, but I actually really prefer the kit of the original Ahsoka Tano much, much more. This feels more like, you know, this is Anakin. This is Ahsoka all grown up, you know, ex-Padawan of Anakin Skywalker, and she's kind of picked up on some of his traits. Let's take a look at what she can do damage-wise, right? Because she's very much a damage-orientated character. Well, Jarkai, 7 dice in attack. Her lightsabers is pretty cool, right? 1 result gives you a crit and a strike. She's doing 6 damage off 3, which is pretty darn good. Maxing out at 8, though. So whilst, yes, she's aimed around damage dealing, probably often going to have to use that then I will avenge his death to actually get the wound on the character that you're going for, which means that she is going to be utilizing a lot of that force. Now that's fine because she can refresh it and she does bring 4, so she's going to ultimately be a force positive, but you know, just be aware of the fact that for most things, especially with clones going to like 8 health now across the board, you know, a lot of other support characters being, you know, 8 stamina, she needs 5 results to be able to take down an 8 health character, and she has no access to additional damage on her lightsabers or anything like that. Form 5 Shien reverse grip. Very, very early access to shoves, right? So a double shove on 2. She's also got a little bit of utility in there as well. She can dish out pin, disarm. She's got a reposition in there. She's got some heals in there, and she's got a jump in there. So a little bit better on the defensive stats as well. So 6/6. Aggressive defense on the Jarkai. I mean, the problem is that a 2 blocks is always better than a strike to a fail. Actually, is it? Strike to a fail can be better because if they have no other fails, then it means that riposte can kick in as well. But they're about the same, right, in terms of what they're going to stop. Look, overall, I don't think her kit is bad. I think if she was released very early on in the Rebels, I think you could have seen her get some good play. But I think, unfortunately, there are 2 Ahsokas who I think are overall better, and I think there are also better Rebels out there to be able to do what it is you want to do. So she is going to go. Let's have a quick look. I mean, we won't have any information on the win rates at the moment, I don't believe, because obviously she is not officially out yet. So only 33 games played, 42% win rate. But again, a little bit of a pinch of salt with that one. Yeah, Ahsoka Tano, I am going to put her into... I'm going to put her at the very bottom of B. And the reason for that is, or is she a C tier? She's a good character. And yeah, she's a good character. She can slot into a lot of places. So yeah, there we go. She's going to go into the very, very bottom of B, and I imagine the very bottom of B is where she will probably end up staying. Somebody who is not bottom of B, Captain Cassian Andor. I am loving this guy at the moment. He does so much. 9 squad points, brings 2 force with him, so already gives us a lot of flexibility with who we can bring along. He's got Rebel Alliance, Scoundrel, and Spy. Yes, he only brings 2 force, but he's not going to be spending a lot of that force realistically. Unless he's taken a wound, we need to blend in. I have been playing a lot with the Cassian Andor list, and it doesn't have force refresh on there, which is a very, very new thing for me. I often play lists with force refresh, and you really learn the value of it and when not to use that force. We need to blend in is really nice. It's got the Rebel Alliance synergy, but it also has Spy synergy, which is really nice. This town is ready to blow. I misread this card at first, but when a player claims a struggle card, so I just thought this was when my opponent claimed a struggle card, but no, when anyone does, roll 3 attack dice, right? For each strike in the attack, each enemy unit that is contesting 1 or more active objectives takes a damage. Sorry, for each strike and for each expertise. So you could just do 3 damage to everyone on the board, which is really nice. We've all done terrible things. This basically adds dice to his attack, but you're going to do damage to your own characters. I've rarely found myself using this. In a pinch, if I need to get results through, then you can do. And then his identity, make 10 men feel like 100 once per turn. When an allied unit becomes wounded, after the effect is resolved, choose another allied unit. 1 character in the chosen unit may advance. If the chosen unit is a spy, that character may instead reposition. Additionally, when allied Rebel Alliance unit is chosen to activate with a Shatterpoint card, characters in that unit now have Impact 2 and Sharpshooter 2 until the end of the turn. Really, really nice identity. Less around doing murder and things like we've seen with Ahsoka, but the movement is absolutely crazy. Right, this guy is like like Mando, but for Rebels. But the difference here is that you can choose anybody to move. And the fact that if they're a spy, you get the reposition. And this is all around having that reactive ability that when your opponent does something to change the game state, you can change the game state back. And that's the really, really big thing with Cassian is your opponent does X, right? They murder somebody and get them off a point. No worries. I can get somebody else onto that point or get somebody onto a different point that I can then take off my opponent. meaning that they're actually not gaining anything other than doing the wound and getting the extra momentum, because they're not going to get any extra VP. So this is really nice, and the fact it just becomes wounded, right? When an allied unit becomes wounded, so that doesn't need to be from an enemy effect. That could be from strain, could be any type of damage that's coming into them. So that's really, really nice. All the way and light it up, are pretty interchangeable as far as I'm concerned. Depending on what it is you're looking to try and do. I generally find I'm starting on light it up just because it's more dice and it's got more damage potential. 6 damage on 3 with a pin is really, really nice. He's also got access to a lot of different conditions on there. He's got a reposition on there, or on the other side, he's got access to earlier shoves. So, 1 shove on 2, double shove on 3. Again, reposition, access to expose. He's got disarm. He's got healing there. He's maxing out at 9 damage on light it up, and let's work out the right way to go here. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, 9 damage as well. So he's 9 damage either way, which is perfectly acceptable, by the way, for a primary character. Cassian be really good. Cassian be really, really good. Win rate of 62% at the moment as well. Cassian is going into the S tier. Now, whereabouts? He's going to be either side of Mando. And I don't know which side. Let's break this down. Mando does a lot. I mean, they're so similar. I'm going to say Cassian takes it. Mando does a little bit more in his turn, okay? Mando does a little bit more in his turn. But the fact that Cassian's leadership allows anybody to move, allows anybody to move, gives him that extra flexibility. So that's the clinching deal on it, right? Mando does a little bit more in his turn, but I think Cassian outside of his turn does more, and that's just going to win it out for me. Okay, Han Solo, or General Solo, up next. 8 squad points, 3 force, because we all know how much force General Solo has. 9 stamina, 3 durability. Then we'll do it real quiet, like at the start of this unit's activation, choose another allied Rebel Alliance character. If a chosen character's unit order card is in the order deck or in reserve, each character in this unit and the chosen unit may advance. Otherwise, you get the dash. It's actually a really nice tactic. It's a really, really nice tactic. He's also got the Rebel Alliance, Scoundrel, and Scout tags, which does give him some flexibility outside of Rebel Alliance. But realistically, you probably want to be playing him in there because of that. Then we'll do it real quiet like. Outnumbered, not outgunned. After a character in this unit makes an attack as part of a combat action, you may use this ability. One character in this unit may make a 5-dice attack, targeting a different enemy unit. So you get to make another attack. So again, he's another character that can affect multiple points during his activation. Let's keep a little optimism here. When an allied unit is wounded by an enemy effect, after the effect is resolved, this unit may use this ability. If your opponent has more momentum than you, you gain a momentum. It's a really nice little catch-up mechanic, but it does cost a force. Okay, it does cost a force. And there are other ways to gain momentum, and depending on who you're playing him with, there are less ways of being able to catch up and refresh the force. But if it's in there in a pinch, like I've had this win me a game before, right? My opponent's murdered somebody, I've gone, cool, I'll spend a force, I win the game. Because our momentum and the struggle tracker have touched. And then his identity, hey, it's me. Once per turn, when the enemy unit becomes wounded, after the effect is resolved, remove 1 condition from this unit. Then 1 character in this unit may dash. Once per turn, when an allied unit is wounded by an enemy character, after the effect is resolved, 1 character in this unit may make a 5-dice attack, targeting the enemy character. that caused the effect. So he's got the clapback thing. He's got the two-parter, right? Once when an enemy unit becomes wounded, he gets to remove a condition and makes a dash. A little bit selfish on that one. But then once per turn, he gets to do a clapback. Now, those 5 dice attacks, let's see how good they are, okay? Gunslinger, reasonably early access to shove, not bad expertise. You know, one expertise gives you a crit and a strike, which is which is quite nice. Shove on 2, 4 damage. Shove reposition on 3 is quite nice. His defenses are not good whatsoever. Yes, he's got a little bit of crit mitigation when you get to 2, but yeah, he's a little bit lackluster in the defensive department. Smug Scoundrel is going to be rolling less dice. However, he's got a lot of options when it comes to where he starts from in there. So he does have a shove on 1. But then his next shove is only going to be at 5, rather than taking the shove on 2, gives you an access to double shove on 3. So again, depending on what you need. I quite like Solo. I do quite like Solo. I think he can do a really, really good job. He's got really nice synergy with other leaders. Okay, so with Cassian. So the one thing that he's lacking is when to trigger his 5 dice attack from Hey It's Me, he doesn't have any movement in there. So teaming him up with somebody like a Cassian, for example, where you can use Cassian's leadership first or identity first, move Solo, and then Solo can make the attack, that can be quite nice. So I do think Solo is a pretty decent leader. Let's have a look at his stats. What do the stats say? The stats say nothing, apparently. I can't seem to find him this morning. Where is he? He would be red, right? He would be red. Solo, 48% win rate, 66 games played. So there you go. Very much down the middle. I am going to put him in B tier. I think that's where he belongs to be. I am going to put him above his lovely counterpart or partner in crime, Lando Calrissian, because I do think he can do a really, really good job for the Rebels. Okay, moving on, we have got Hera Syndulla Spectre 2 up next. 8 squad points, 3 force, 9 stamina, 3 durability, Rebel Alliance, and then she has that Spectre tag. So this is like an extra little tag for the Ghost crew. Phoenix leader, so choose another Rebel Alliance character, so choose another allied character. If it's Rebel Alliance, they get to dash. If it's a Spectre, they get to advance. So yeah, kind of standard stuff. Crew of the Ghost, Rebel Alliance characters within 4 have cover 1, which can be quite nice. We will not stand down. Choose an allied Rebel Alliance unit and an active objective. The chosen unit may remove 1 wounded token, all damage, and 1 condition from itself. Then the chosen unit gains an injured token, and 1 character in the chosen unit may reposition towards the chosen active objective. Right. So this is basically taking a character that has a wounded token, so they're currently not contesting anything, they're not able to contest towards VPs, spending 2 force and basically getting them back on their feet, getting them into position, and hopefully contesting an objective. Cost 2 force, it's quite costly, but in a pinch, this is the kind of tech that can win you the game, but it's quite situational. We have hope. At the start of this unit's activation, you may spend 1 momentum. If you do, each allied Rebel Alliance character within 5 may remove 3 damage and 1 condition from itself. If this unit was chosen to activate with the Shatterpoint card, you may resolve this effect without spending the momentum. Range 5 is a lot. 3 damage across everyone. And it is only unit, so you don't get to do the double dip into support characters, but even so, it's an interesting leadership. Yes, it can mitigate a lot of damage. I would have really liked for this to have been something a little bit different, if I'm being brutally honest. Unless you really, really want to play pure Ghost Crew, then I don't think there's really a place for Hera in the game at the moment, if I'm being brutally honest. Her stance card is like, it's fine, right? You know, reasonably early access to shove. She can trigger her active ability for free, but she can trigger her active ability for free on both stance cards. But her active ability, she only has one, and it's We Will Not Stand Down. So if you get there, then it doesn't do anything. Right? There's a chance it could not do anything because you need to have a wounded character. But even so, you don't have to choose it. I just think Rebels have a bit of a reactive thing going on with what they do with movement and with attacks and with counter-measuring what your opponent's doing. Very much, feels very, very Rebel in it. And yes, Hera has that with We Will Not Stand Down, but in terms of her identity, I just don't think it's it. And I think she's up against some very, very stiff competition. Like I say, I think you're only ever really going to see her in a mono Ghost Crew list. I'm actually going to put her below Hondo. I think that's probably fair. I think Hondo's got a little bit more of in terms of where he can go and what he can do. Okay. Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker. Slightly improved with his new identity. 7 squad points, 3 force. It's also worth saying as well that, some of the Rebel units like R2-D2 and 3PO have had boosts as well, which, they are a 3 cost, which means that, this could be something that Luke would take. I'm not going to go through all of Luke's card because we went through it in detail, but Luke is good. Okay, Luke is good. I think under normal circumstances, I'd have sort of said, look, Luke is probably B tier, right? Probably where he is. But there is a problem with Luke, and it's that another Luke exists. And because that other Luke exists, I have to bump Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker down. The 3 cost support unit Luke Skywalker is so good in Rebels in terms of what he does. He gives out movement. He gives out rerolls. He can retain his own hunker tokens. He does so much for a 3 cost that I really struggle to see where I could take this, because realistically, he's a 7 cost, right? Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker brings 7 squad points. The one character I would want to bring with him is the other version of Luke Skywalker, and obviously we're not allowed to do that. So yeah, he's going to get bumped down. Let's just quickly, take a look. Return of the Jedi, right? He only brings 3 force as a 7, but he gets to jump and he gets to refresh a force, which is quite nice. He can advance towards. You can either profit by this or be destroyed. He can advance towards and make an attack. Deflect is deflect. I will not fight you when a character in this unit is engaged with a melee attack. This unit may use its ability after attack is resolved. If the attack roll contained 1 or more failure results, one character in this unit may double heal and jump. That's really nice. It's really, really nice. And then I am a Jedi like my father before me. This used to just be on Luke. Now it's a bubble, right? So depending on where he is, if he's in the order deck or reserve, everyone has immunity. Everyone within 5 that's a Rebel Alliance has immunity expose. And then if his card is not in the order deck, Rebel Alliance characters within 5 have immunity pin. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. But again, I just come back to the fact that there is another version of Luke, and in my opinion, that version of Luke is maybe the best secondary for Rebels right now. There's a lot to think about, but yeah, maybe the best. So where's he going to go? He's going to go into C tier. He's going to go into C tier. What's he got going against him? He's got lots of other Rebel leaders, primaries, who are better than him. He's got a Luke who really, really wants to be played. Oh, I mean, none of these have other characters with the same name. I'm going to put him at the bottom of C, and let me explain my reasoning there. He's not D tier because he is not a bad character, right? You can bring him and do a good job with him. If the other version of Luke didn't exist, he would have been probably, mid to low B. But he's purely going into C because I just don't see where he's ever played. Because if you're playing optimal Rebels, you're probably playing Luke. And it's not this version. There we go. Okay, decision made. Kanan Jarrus, Spectre 1. Love me some Kanan. Played with a lot of Kanan. It's fair to say that the Kanan Leia list, Princess Leia list, was around for quite some time. Kanan does a lot. He does a lot. He's a man with two names, so he can either refresh Force or he can choose an allied Rebel Alliance character. They may dash, and then if the chosen character was a Spectre, one character in this unit may dash, which is quite nice. Always remember he can use that on himself because it's not another allied character. He's got Force Push. Force Push is Force Push. Force Push be really good, right? Deflect is Deflect. Now I know there is something stronger than Fear. When an allied Rebel Alliance unit is wounded by an enemy attack, after the effect is resolved, one character in this unit may double heal and then jump. Then if the wounded unit is a Spectre, one character in this unit may make a 5 dice attack. And then he's a Force user, he's a Jedi, he's a Rebel Alliance, he's a Scoundrel, and he's a Spectre. Feels like an appropriate time to mention it. I mentioned in the last video, Force user, I think it's only a bad thing now. Actually, the Padawans and Ezra, right? Ezra is obviously going to be played a lot with Kanan. They actually synergize really nicely with Force user as well, so it can be for good. Kanan Stronger Than Fear works on himself as well, worth pointing out. He does a lot of damage as well. Early access to shove on Form 2 Sorasu. Now, realistically, what you want to be probably doing with Kanan is starting in Pack Leader, because realistically, you don't need that early Force refresh, but you do want that early movement. He can be a great turn 1 pull. If you do get him, you don't feel too bad about it. Whereas with a lot of other primaries, you feel a little bit bad about getting a turn 1 pull with Kanan. He can do things and get them up the board, especially with Ezra. Really nice synergy with what Ezra does with making the jump as well. Form 2 Sorasu, this is where he's going to be, doing more of his melee damage, but realistically, keeping him in Pack Leader, because that 5 dice attack is not doesn't say it has to be melee, and he gets to make a jump, right? He's got a ranged attack that is 7 dice, right, with his DL-18 blaster pistol. And even on this side, he's got double shove on 3, which is really, really nice. I tend to find that unless I need that Force refresh, I'm keeping him in Pack Leader. Now, the downside with that is obviously enduring defense. If you're in a position where you've started in Pack Leader, you've got the movement, but he is then in the mix of things, then yeah, that enduring defense may be what you want to use. But also remember, that 5 dice attack doesn't have to be against the character that actually did the wound, right? So you don't have to jump towards them, and you don't have to attack them. It's pretty darn crazy, to say the least. Saying that, is Kanan the first choice for Rebels anymore? And I don't think he is. But I put him up there with some of the other sort of quote-unquote second choices. He does a lot. He's really, really good. I haven't yet played Cassian with Kanan, and I think that could be a really cool combination and maybe something that I take a look at. But for me, I still think Kanan has got a lot going for him. Just looking where he is, 57% win rate, 143 games, so one of the most played out of all those new characters. Is he above or below? I'm going to put him below. I'm going to put him below. Do we need a little mix around with these? No, I think that's fine. I think that's absolutely fine. So yeah, there we go. He's going to go just below Mace Windu. Okay, next up we have got Leia Organa, Freedom Fighter, a character who I am going to admit I had never played with before. I played against, never played with, did not like her. Unexpected allies, I was like, I'm never playing Ewoks. However, and I want to give a big shout out to the Rogue Support podcast for this one, because they mentioned that with Cassian, coordinated fire from Leia Organa could be quite good. And this is what I'm playing in the Dawanawanga League. I'm going to do it mid video. Dawanawanga League it's a league that's running until the end of this year. It has started, but you can still join up. Head over to the Discord, link down in the description below. And basically the winner of the overall league wins himself a brand new Star Wars Shatterpoint squad box. It's going to be a slightly different format. It's not going to be Swiss pairings. You're going to play everybody in the league. One game with every single player. But it runs until the end of this year, so you've got plenty of time to get your games in. You want to play 3 games in 1 week and none for the next month? Absolutely fine. Play them when you can arrange them, wherever you are in the world. So yeah, go check that out. And this is, Leia Organa Freedom Fighter is the character that I have picked to run along Cassian Andor. And I've got to admit, when you add in characters like Luke, and I've even put some Ewoks in there as well, the ones that bring a little extra order card, yeah, she's pretty good. She's pretty darn good, to say the least. And there's a few things that make her really good. Infiltrate is really nice. Start this unit's activation, 1 allied rebel character may advance. Again, reposition would have been nice, but we'll take an advance. It can be her as well, so she can use it on herself. She's also then got defensive maneuver. She's got explosive charge. Again, in a pinch, you can use it, but it's a lot of force. And this is the thing that I'm finding with, especially when I'm taking Cassian and Leia, I have 5 force and I don't have refresh. I need to be very careful about where and when I spend it. Big thing with Leia here is coordinated fire. And yes, I know I spoke about how only having one character dishing out coordinated fires isn't as good, and it's not as good, but having access to it really, really helps these guys just pack a bit more punch with what they're doing. And then unexpected allies. This has actually worked out to be much better than what I thought, because I am taking the Ewoks, and the one where it's, they get 1 extra dice for every other Ewok character. Well, all of the Rebel Alliance are Ewoks, so, it works quite well. Frontal Assault is fine. It's pretty good, but realistically, where I find I'm spending most of my time with her is in that stealth mission, even though it's less impactful on the offensive side. I actually think her tree is that little bit better, and the fact that she's got double shove on 3, whereas, we've only got access to 1 shove on the frontal assault. I may find myself starting in frontal assault and then switching to stealth mission. But either way, she is so good. So good. Now, doesn't hit the upper echelons of, S tier or anything crazy like that. And she does have the fact that there is another Leia Organa. However, it's another Leia Organa in the same role, but doing very, very different things, right? In fact, I'm gonna go into the other Leia now before we place the other Leia. So Princess Leia, Charming to the Last, right? This is one that actually comes in the box with the Luke. 8 squad points, 3 force. She's Rebel Alliance, she's spy, she's warrior. into the garbage chute, flyboy. You know, she's got movement. But her big thing, somebody's got to save our skins. When an enemy character wounds another allied unit, after the effect is resolved, one character in this unit may dash towards the enemy character that caused the effect and then may make a 5 dice attack targeting that character. Then choose another allied unit within 3. The chosen unit gains a hunker. Additionally, characters in this unit add 1 die to their defense rolls for each wounded allied unit within 3. And then Rebel Alliance Spy Warrior, as we said. This version of Leia is really, really good. Really, really good. I've played her with Kanan. I've played her with Cassian as well. And in both situations, she does a really, really good job. Double shove on 2 for covert rebel can be really nice. You know, with Cassian, she can get the move and then the dash and then make the attack. With Kanan, you've got double attacks coming back into you, which is absolutely brutal. So yeah, whilst her dice are low, like she's got early access to really, really nice things. So where do I put each of these against each other? And normally, as I say, when we've got characters that are the same name, one of them is higher up and the other one is lower down. And until recently, until I came back to the game, I'd have had, you know, Princess Leia up here and Freedom Fighter Leia down here. Having access to that expose is really good. Overall, I am going to give it to Princess Leia. I think Princess Leia is overall the better character. However, I also grant Leia Organa Freedom Fighter the rank of A. I do think she is that good and a very, very viable. Again, we've got this Anakin situation, right? We've got Anakin number 1 for Rebels. We've got Anakin number 1 for Galactic Republic with lots of options. We've got Cassian Andor number 1 choice for Rebels, I believe. And then we've got lots of options. And taking either version of Leia is perfectly fine, by the way. Perfectly fine. So yeah, there we go. There we go. Okay, we've got a couple of furry little friends in here now, guys. Chief Chirper. Obviously, they're not Rebel Alliance, but they kind of fall into the same category. So when we were finding an appropriate place for them, this is where we ended up. Chief Chirper. I mean, the Ewoks got upgrades on their leaders, right? Now mobilize the village. All Ewok characters add 1 die to their attack rolls, irrespective of where they are on the board. He still just isn't good enough, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think unless you really, really want to play an all-true Ewok list, then you're probably taking Leia with you as your second option. You know, Logray with Leia. I mean, or Leia with Logray as your second primary. This guy just isn't it. Now, is he bad enough to be D tier? I don't think so. I personally don't think so. I think, and I haven't done this yet, but I do want to try it. Play that full Ewok list, see how it feels. But yeah, Chief Chirper, he's going to go in C, but he's going to go down the bottom end of C for me. I don't think he's good enough by any stretch of the imagination. But if you do want to play that full Ewok list, all the furries, then he's there, he exists. There's no other option to take, right, if you want to play the full furry list. Logray, on the other hand, actually, you know, the changes to him, I think were a little bit more impactful. Logray's always been the better of the two. Inspiring Presence. Each allied warrior gains hunker and may remove 2 damage or 1 special condition from itself, right? It just happens, right? And then each Ewok scout unit may dash. Like, it's a really, really nice tactic ability. And especially on the Ewoks where they are lacking a little bit in the health department, just keeping them alive that little bit longer. Secret ingredients: each time an Ewok unit wounds an enemy unit, after the effect is resolved, roll an attack die. On a crit or strike result, refresh run force. On a failure or expertise result, each character in that allied unit may dash. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. You know, force refresh in there is really, really nice. On both his trees, he can activate his either his stealthy approach or his Elder's Command, which again is really nice. His damage output is not bad. He's got both ranged and melee attacks. His staff on Omen of Strength is actually pretty darn good. One result gives you a crit in the damage, and then he's maxing out at 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage with being able to then activate, let's say, an Elder's Command, right? Which is a little bit like a Kalani. Ewok supporting characters within 4. Then they get to dash, may gain a hunker, remove a special condition, or make a 5 dice attack. So you're doubling down on the attacks that you can make. I think Logray is pretty solid. I'm not going to lie. I think he's absolutely fine. Where's he going to go? He's going to go in B tier. He's going to go in B tier. I would put him... I'd probably put him around about here, if I'm being brutally honest. Yeah, I just want to go through and check the list, see if there's any changes I want to make. I think S tier I'm perfectly fine with. A tier, again, I'm perfectly fine with. It's this B tier that I'm sort of looking at. No, again, I think it's absolutely fine. C tier, yeah, no, I think I'm good with that. There we go, guys. That is our Rebels. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? We're seeing that these balance passes have done quite well for the game. Only 1 character in D tier at the moment, and only 3 characters in S tier. Right, I think that's very, very telling of a very, very good game state. You want the vast majority of your characters to be in that A to C tier because you want the bell curve to be the biggest in the middle. But yeah, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Am I completely wrong? Is Chief Chirper an absolute chad and I'm just missing something? Again, I don't think so. Guys, I want to give a big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters, all of our YouTube members, and everyone who has purchased merch from us. As I mentioned in the previous video, I am working on some merch at the moment that are going to be Star Wars Shatterpoint inspired. I think for legal reasons, that is what I have to say. So you go and check those out. And a big thank you to anyone who supports us in that way. It goes a long, long way to helping with the running of the channel. But as always, you don't need to do any of those things. Just simply liking, commenting, subscribing really goes a long, long way to helping us reach our goal, our next goal of 10,000 subscribers, which is crazy when I think about it. And I know that's not a big YouTube channel, but for me, it's more than I could have ever imagined. So thank you to each and every one of you who supported me. Check out the Discord, and I mentioned we've got the Dwanawonga League happening at the moment. Registrations are still open, even though it started. So if you want to join in, play some of these characters, regular games before the end of the year, drop me a DM on Discord, or just head over to the Discord and you can find all the details on there. Big shout out to Leodis Games, sponsor of the channel. Link down in the description below for £5 off your first order. And as always, guys, it leaves me with just enough time to say stay well, keep safe, and until next time, may the Force be with you.